Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight on our regular Thursday evening Zoom fellowship call. We've got a really great guest sitting back here, waiting to come on. And I really want you guys to listen to what he has today because he is doing something phenomenal. It's James Harrison. And James, thank you for joining us this evening.
It's a pleasure to be here, brother. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. And we're just grateful you're here. Listen, guys. So it's time for you to get busy if you haven't already. The conference coming up, Remnant Rising 2025, August 22nd through the 24th in Springfield, Missouri, is upon us. It's about 60 some days away, 66 days, I think, away. And so it's time to really consider getting out there because there's going to be some incredible stuff going on there. Dynamic speakers have been added. There's a couple of more in the wings that are coming up. But you're going to hear what's really going on, including things about what's going on in Israel and Iran, which is, at the forefront of everybody's thinking right now. And please don't email me and ask me what will happen if there's a nuclear attack, because I'm going to explain to you that what's going to happen is it's ticketless. You don't get a ticket, so you don't have to worry about your ticket design. And I'm happy to refund everybody's misery in case that happens.
Oh,
Don't worry about it. Just get out there and be a part of it. You got people like Messianic Rabbi Zev Parat. You've got Carl Gallups, Joe Horn. Uh, I'm blanking, Jeannie. Help me out.
Nita Horn, Derek and Sharon Gilbert. We have Stuart Rhodes. We have Dave Hodges, and the list goes on.
Yeah, it goes on and on and on. Vicky Joy Anderson.
Yep.
It's just it's going to be incredible, and it's also all dedicated in the memory of Tom Horn. It's a chance for you guys to come out and show your support of everything that Tom did for all of you and everything that his family continues to do with Skywatch TV and Whispering Ponies Ranch. Next thing I want to talk to you all about in all the emails I send you under my signature is links. One of those links goes to our YouTube channel, which has totally blown up in the last, I don't know, week here. We have some people helping me with that, and it's just going crazy. We have content delivering every day at 7 p.m. Central through next month so far. And there's over 1,000 different videos on there, and many of them, especially right now, are full presentations from past speakers. So get over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to it, please. And it's just got a ton of stuff that you'll like. So without further ado, James Harrison he's doing just an incredible job with his natural family ministry. And his mission is to basically return us to what the core family was, where God is inserted into it. And James, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing and why it's important for people to get up off the couch and do something and how they can do that?
And I'm really going to help arm them, Mike. Again, I appreciate the opportunity today. When we talk about the family, there's two words that I want your listeners to keep in mind. The first is best, and the second is practice. And when we talk about the natural family, by the way, natural is a term that you need to get familiar with as well. Not nuclear, not traditional, not modern, but natural. Natural is number one, self-defining. It's invulnerable, and you see it every day. There's spiritual laws and natural laws. A child needs spiritual law. Their biological mother and biological father, they need the affirmation of both of them. And when one of them is missing or that affirmation isn't there, they will spend the rest of their life trying to fill that vacuum. I know personally how that works because I tried to fill that vacuum. I tried to fill it with sex, with alcohol, with sports, with business. Didn't work. It doesn't work. And that's the key. We want to try. I would love to see a law in this nation today that said a child is entitled to their biological mother and biological father. I think that would turn around a lot of this no-fault divorce and everything else that's happening in America today. I'm kind of digressing, Mike, but I want to get that point out about the importance of the family. As goes the family, so goes the church. As goes the church, so goes the nation. How can you possibly have a solid church if you have broken families in it? If you don't have men leaders in the family? In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth and everything in it, and he created the first family. He didn't create the church first. He created the family first. And there's an order. And it's God, Jesus Christ, man, woman, children. That's a vertical relationship. And we got to keep that. I'm getting a little bit into details, and I don't want to get too far into that before we get a little bit about myself. I, by trade, was an executive recruiter. I'm retired, headhunter, if you will, if you use the term affectionately. And I was at the mountaintop, folks. And I mean the mountaintop. I was working for myself. I was working out of the house. And I was maybe working anywhere from 2 to 4 hours a week. And I was making, this was the early 80s and 90s. I was making between $80,000 and $100,000 a year. And I didn't want to make any more money than that because the government gets kind of into your pocketbook when you start making more than 100 grand a year. But I mean, I 2 or 3 hours a week. I was golfing. I was just had spent time with the children, with the family. It was great. It was great. And then about 1987, I got bit by the righteous bug, and everything changed. I started noticing what was going wrong in America today, and I figured the first thing I said, here's the way to resolve it. We're going to get the right person elected to office. So I spent the next 12 years getting people elected to office. Well, you know how that worked out, right? Yeah. Okay. So the next move was the church. As goes the church, so goes the nation, right? So all we need to do is get pastors to speak relevant sermons, to get their congregations to get out in the streets, into the public. And by the way, Jesus was involved in politics, okay? He was involved in politics. Did he ever talk to a Pharisee? Hello? Did he ever talk to political leaders? Of course he did. But anyway, try to get the churches to engage the culture. And we did that for about 15 years. That's where I met Coach Dave Dobmeyer, by the way. And wow, what a guy. What a guy Coach is. So anyway, we did that for about 15 years. And actually, we stood in front of a church here in Columbus, Ohio, for about 9 months with huge signs, 5-foot, 8-foot signs. Help us save babies, help us save marriages. Christian men engage the culture. Well, when the church found out we went, and this is a mega church, and when the church found out we weren't leaving, they took us to court. And they got a restraining order to keep us off of public property. And I'm getting really frustrated. I'm going, where am I going to go next? And a gentleman came along and helped do a little management consultant, if you will, with a group of folks we had. And he started talking about the 7 areas of influence. And he talked about the government, the church, education, news media, family, and just stop right there. It's the church. If you don't fix the church, nothing else is going to work. But I came to the realization after several months of talking that, you know what? The family is probably as important as the church. And then I came to the realization that, wait a minute, if the family's broken, you can't have a church. You can't have America. You can't have a nation. And I've been trying to write a book for the past 5 years. It's called Romans 2. It's how America is headed where Rome went and where the other great nations went. And we're headed that way because we destroyed the family. Go ahead, Mike. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm following right along with you on this, to be honest with you, James. I mean, and the people on this call that know me will know exactly why I asked you to be on tonight based on your testimony.
Mhm.
I guess what I'd like to know as you're going along here is where did you find the most resistance, and why do you think the men in the church are so afraid to get busy?
You want me to say the church, and I will say the church. That's right. That's where I had the most resistance. They were afraid I was going to upset somebody, that I was going to make Christ look bad. Of course, our doing nothing doesn't make Christ look bad at all, does it? Nah, not at all. Three entities. And by the way, with the Natural Family Foundation, we have a promotion from Mother's Day to Father's Day that we call Natural Family Celebration, called a Natural Family Month. The first week is for mothers. The second week is for children. The third week is for grandparents. Wow, what an experience. The fourth week is for extended family, which means everybody's included. Everybody, extended family, regardless of what you identify as. And then it ends on Father's Day. And there's three entities that when you present this to, it's like a litmus test. One is the church, one is politicians, and the other, of course, is the LGBTQ community. And when you go to a pastor and you say, "Hey, pastor, what do you think about this?" I mean, you don't even have to say, "Are you interested?" Just say, "What do you think about this?" And you're probably 9 times out of 10, you're going to get that deer in the headlight look like, oh boy, I'm in trouble here. I can't say no to this. I can't say yes to this. Let me get back with you. And then you'll never hear from them again. So it's, yeah, the church, I, I don't know whether they're the most resistance, but they're the most disappointing, Mike. I guess that's the best way to put that.
Yeah, Coach and I have had conversations about this ad nauseum.
Hmm.
The brick and mortar church is so afraid to talk about the basic biblical values and what's going on. I mean, they're afraid that their donation base, I guess, will or their tithings will go away because they don't seem to be willing to stand up for the natural family. Have you had successes with some, or are you still battling it?
Limited success, and it's always a small church that you're going to have success with. And you're right, the larger churches, uh, like a vineyard or whatever you can think of, the large church, they're basically entertainment centers. When you go into that building, their job is to make you feel as comfortable as possible and to not offend you and make you feel good. Because if you feel good and you feel comfortable, you're going to come back next week and your billfold's going to come back or your pocketbook's going to come back along with you. They know how to entertain, they know how to make people feel good, and they know how to nudge them to give us a little donation here and there. It's a business. I'm sorry, it is a business.
Why do you think they have lattes and
Hmm.
donuts
Hmm.
and all that stuff? I mean, it is. I mean, if I've often thought, when I'm trying to motivate people and get people, if I had a wine tasting, a coffee bar, uh, the latest and greatest donut, and I had like young girls serving it all, I'd have thousands of people show up. But when you talk about Jesus and you talk about the Bible and you mention the word prayer and then, God forbid, you get into whether a marriage should be between a man and a woman.
Uh-oh.
Now you've got to fight.
Hmm.
Now you've got to fight. Now you talk to us a little bit about you had kind of a rocky road in your own life, which I totally identify. And as a matter of fact, Tammy, who we have like a wonderful couple of volunteers now that are helping with our website and with arranging these for me. Tammy is sending you my bio, and you'll know why we're going to hit it off. But talk to us a little bit about what you're comfortable talking about, those struggles you had to go through to become the man you are today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And first of all, I'll tell you that the struggles were incredible, but I'm grateful for all of them because those struggles, don't be afraid of them is what I'm saying. Don't be afraid of them because they're going to open doors of understanding that they'll teach you things. It's kind of like having children. When I got married, I was a successful businessman. I thought I knew it all. And then God gave me a child. I just realized how dumb I was, right? I mean, they're an education in themselves. Anyway, speaking of children, I was brought up in a small town. My father was a clay worker. He was an alcoholic, a womanizer, and an abuser. You name the type of abuse, and he majored in it. Every Friday night he'd come home from work and he'd be drunk, and we go up to bed. And my bedroom was right above the kitchen, and my mom and dad would always get in a fight in the kitchen. You could hear him shuffling around and mom screaming every now and then. And you could hear there's a distinct sound that a fist makes when it hits your face. And I heard that sound more often than not. And anyway, I would come down on a Saturday morning and I see mom, she might be limping around or have a cut or maybe a broken finger. And then Sunday morning, she had me in church. It was just an incredible upbringing. And my dad made sure I was the only boy in the family, he had three sisters. He made sure that I felt about this high. Like, I mean, he didn't want anything to do with me. When Boy Scouts and Father's Night was there, my mom had to take me. It was just incredible. And because my father wasn't there, he was there, but he wasn't there for me. I said early on that a child needs affirmation. They need to know that they're okay, that the world they're in is okay. They need to know that.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, you try to do whatever you can to fill that vacuum. And it's a huge vacuum. You can never fill it. And some people fill it with drugs or gangs. I did with alcohol, with sex, anything to try to fill that up. But it never did. It never did. And I went through a rocky relationship, first marriage. I've been divorced. I have a child from that marriage, and was kind of still doing the drinking thing after that, and ran into a wonderful lady, and she was a social worker, and she had to be a social worker because I needed a lot of work, and it was seriously a lot of work, and we came to the point where I was going to go through another divorce, and I had a decision to make. I was either going to stop drinking or I was going to have another divorce. And I quit drinking and was on the spot. I never had a desire for another drink. And believe me, I would run through a quart and a half of Jack Daniels easily in a week, plus the beer, whatever beer I could drink. But it just all stopped. And the business was doing fine. And then I got bit by the righteous bug, which I think I'd mentioned before. And then I started getting involved in the culture, and here I am today.
That's incredible. I mean,
Yeah,
what a wonderful testimony. So do
yeah.
you feel that now, do you feel you're truly walking the path that God had chosen for you?
Probably not. I mean, I'm a lot closer than I ever would have been, but I mean, I've been at this for almost 38 years now, Mike. So I'm not going a straight path. I'm obviously going here and there and here and there, which is like me. I have to learn the hard way. You know, when I was going through all these bad times, I'm sure God was saying, "Well, okay, James, have you had enough?" I'm sure I said, "Nah, you're gonna have to try a little harder," and He does. So, yeah. Look, I'm comfortable where I'm at. I'm happy with where I'm at, and I no longer feel like I'm 2 inches high. I have another father, and that father guides me, and boy, has he ever protected me. Oh my goodness, Mike, there's so many times that it could have ended for me. I mean, just like that. And he's helped me through that to the point where I get to meet some great people. Mike Kerr, Jeannie, just people like that. Coach Dave Dobmeyer, the list goes on, and the learning experience, it just keeps happening and happening and happening. The faith keeps growing. And for the longest time, Mike, because of the way I was brought up, I thought I could tell you behind every rainbow there was a cloud. Everything was negative in my world. Everything was negative. And I'll be honest with you, I got sick of myself because I didn't like anything. I did not like anything. So I said to myself, okay, you can complain, but you have to have a possible solution before you ever open your mouth. And that's the way I operate. That's why I ran across the natural family. That's what we did with the Minutemen United. It's always a positive push, lighting the candle, if you will, is versus cursing the darkness. And I was a cursor. And trust me, Mike, there is nobody that's listening to you today or that I've ever been around that can be a better complainer than who you're speaking with. I could find something wrong with anything, anything. So yeah, I'm in heaven right now, right? I mean, in 2025, am I not in heaven? I
Well,
don't have to complain anymore. I just have to point.
well, now talk to us about how, as you're doing this across the country,
Hmm.
and you know, I hate to use the term, but like, are you developing like cells in different cities so that you've got people out boots on the ground that are actually helping you?
Yes, that's happening. It's not purposeful. I'm not trying specifically to do that, but that is happening, Mike. I mean, I had I think last year or the year before, a legislator in New Hampshire that I ran across, uh, via coach, by the way, in some of his group, and she got the New Hampshire legislator to proclaim a natural family month in the state of New Hampshire, of all places.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll say wow.
And we're working on other states. Idaho declared a traditional family month, but they use natural in their description of what the traditional family is, and that's key. That's key. Uh, and we're working on the state of Ohio is actually trying to make Natural Family Month a law, not a proclamation, but a law in the state of Ohio. And there's other states that are thinking about doing that. A city in New Jersey, Al Cirilli, the mayor, and I ran across him about 3 years ago. Al Cirilli, the mayor, just proclaimed a Natural Family Month for, I think, Bernadette, New Jersey. So New Jersey has a city that has a Natural Family Month celebration. New Jersey.
When are you going to
So
do California?
we're working on that. We're working
Yeah.
on it. We have some churches in Oregon that celebrated the Natural Family Month,
Wow.
and we've got a church or two in Maryland and another state that the pastors every week, the first week they do a Mother's Day week or Mother's Day sermon on Sunday, and then the second week they do a children's sermon, and then a grandparent sermon, and then an extended family sermon, and then last week they did the Father's Day sermon. So there's a lot of churches. It's growing incrementally, but it is growing, and it's exciting to see that happen. And also what's happening, Mike, is that a lot of the religious organizations, the large groups, and I won't mention any names, I've talked to them about doing the natural family celebration, and I never hear back from them. But some of those groups now are starting to have their own June celebrations. They're not calling them Natural Family Month, but they're June celebrations. And that's okay. Okay. I mean, I'm okay with that, just so they understand that the basis, listen, Mother's Day to Father's Day is bookends. It's incredible. And that is, I didn't think of this is all the word natural and the bookends did not come from me. That comes from God. I'm not that smart. That comes from God. It just happened that way by his asking us to do that.
Wow. Now James, you've obviously seen what happens to a family when they
Hmm.
practice this.
Yep.
Can you share with us like what is that like? I mean, what happens when people get involved?
Can you play that video that I sent you, Mike? The 2 minute and 58 second video.
I'm sorry, I can't
You
write.
can't. Okay. Okay. Okay.
You can if you want.
No, I don't know how to do that. I'd blow you up. I'd blow you up. Don't worry.
Now you're busting me because I don't know how to do it either right now. I tried.
You can share a screen and play it, no?
Yeah, I can try.
If you share your screen?
Well, I have to let's
Yeah. Do you have it up, James?
I do not have it handy.
okay,
Oh,
hold on. I can probably find it.
Let's see.
I mean, you can share your screen and play it, Mike.
I'm trying to, Jeannie.
Okay.
Give me a second here.
I've got the link, if that'll help.
I have your link. Okay,
Okay.
that's not it. Let's see.
The Jamie Bambrick is the one I'm looking at.
Okay, hold on a second. We'll try.
Okay. I hate to mean to be a nuisance. Sorry.
You're not.
No, it's just that we're not that tech savvy.
Uh,
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, let's see here. I know I can find it.
So while you're doing that, Mike,
mhm.
so James, so your organization does advocates these celebrations, and how are these celebrations enacted? Do you do events? Do you do parades, or is it a
In turn,
campaign? How does it manifest?
in terms of activities, the idea was something we did in Marshfield, Wisconsin, of all places, last 2 years ago. And it was a 1 day celebration. The mayor was there. She declared Natural Family Month. And they had, I think it was a Mennonite community that came in and they helped children and parents build a playhouse, which we gave away at the end of the event that day. It was about an 8 hour event. And they sang, and then we had booths there. We had a grandparents reading to children. They had a jump around. It was incredible. But the most beautiful thing about it was that during the whole time, the stage, if you look off to the right from the stage, there was this group of Mennonites with the children, and they were pounding nails and they were putting boards on. And all you heard for 7 or 8 hours was a pound. It was music. It was beautiful to see the children's and their parents building together a house, or children with their brothers and sisters building together a house, a playhouse.
Wow.
And they were surrounded. They had pony rides, some other events, but those are the kind of things we recommend. I've got a group of folks that are working on specific events for each day. But the key here is to make the proclamation and start having the conversation about the natural family. That's the key. And that is starting now. And that's very important.
I did find the video, so
Yeah.
let's see if I can make this work.
Good. This right now would be a great time to play that.
Bear with me.
We see your screen.
Okay, that's great. Do you see the video up here? No, I just gotta.
Yeah, I see a video.
Hold
That's
on.
the one.
Can you move it up?
I'm trying to. Give me a second here. Okay, let's try this.
There you go. Now we need some sound.
There's no sound. Did you activate the sound button?
I'm working on it.
Oh, Mike, I apologize.
No, it's
no.
not a big deal. I could have been prepared in advance, but I just didn't do it. Okay, let's see here. Hold on. Might can figure this out somehow. No, you don't want.
Go back. If you go back and reshare your screen, there's a sound button that you can click. So unshare the screen and then look for the sound button as you reshare it.
I'm trying to get the screen to.
And while you're doing that, what we're looking at is where we are in America today. And 50% of the children in America are not living with both their biological mother and biological father. Folks, to me, no, that's child abuse. That is flat out child abuse. And then those that possibly live with the mother and father, they put themselves in government-run indoctrination schools, public schools, that teach those children that life has no meaning, evolution is fact, morals are relative, multiculturalism, diversity, man, not God, is the measure of all things, and the state's your daddy.
Yeah.
And then the children come back and they don't respect you. Go ahead.
Okay, let's see if I can do this now, you guys.
There you go. Click that. Oop, you missed it. There you go.
That more children were born out of wedlock than in it.
For the first time ever since records began,
50.1% of women are childless by 30.
The US fertility rate has plummeted for the past 15 years.
But people are choosing to get married later or live together beforehand, or even not getting married at all.
The nuclear family has almost been destroyed.
Natural.
How many kids come from, two-parent households with both parents that were their biological parent?
18%. People get married on average like 10 years later now than they did.
It's destroying the country.
If there is one thing that is apocalyptically different about our generation compared to every single other generation in history, it is the near total disintegration of the family unit, at the very least in the Western world. In 1960, 73% of children were living in a family with two married parents who were on their first marriage. By 1980, that had dropped to 61% of children, and today it is less than half. Almost 50% of all the marriages in the United States end in divorce, and researchers estimate that 41% of first marriages end in divorce. If we look at the up-and-coming generation, only half of today's teens will go on to get married at any point in their life, in spite of the fact that almost all of them aspire to marriage at some point in their lives. And families where the parents are unmarried do not fare as well. Cohabiting parents only make up 19% of all couples, but they make up 50% of family breakdown. And some people might respond, well, that's people's choices, people's desires change over time. This is fine, it's not a problem. The issue is that it is a problem. We can clearly see that. The destruction of the Western family is leading to the destruction of the West as a whole. Fatherlessness and broken families lead to a vastly increased chance of going to prison, vastly higher rates of violent crime, increased mental health problems, increased government spending. Fatherlessness is the single largest driving factor behind poverty, vastly more so than race. Did you know that in America, a white child from a mother-led household is 3 times more likely to end up in poverty than a black child from a two-parent household? And it is not just an American thing. The same pattern is repeated everywhere. In Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, Scandinavia, the household is declining, and where it declines, the society falls apart. You need to hear this. The destruction of the family is the destruction of the Western world.
Bummer.
Positive start, right? Bet you're glad you clicked on this video. But most of you know this, right? You might not know all the stats, but you're at least aware that broadly there are issues in the family and that connects to a bunch of society.
Mike, you can stop that now if you want. Thanks.
Story. It is a crazy story. I accept that, but it's one we know. The crazy story is in.
Mike, did you hear that? You can stop it now.
It's so insane.
Okay.
He's enjoying himself.
Into it. I don't know what to tell you, man. I was into it. Now I got to find my.
No, unshare.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I can get back to my.
But you understand the relevance of what he was talking about. I mean, it just
Totally.
puts it with less than 3 minutes, just lays it out. And to those listeners, listen, this has already hit you, but maybe you don't realize how hard it has hit you. But think about your family get-togethers, what they look like this day and age, what kind of struggles you have with maybe your son, your daughter, your father, your mother. There's such a separation that has gone on, and it's purposeful. Our enemy knows that if they destroy the family, then we're done. We're cooked as a nation. And to me, it's an emergency. We've got to regain the ground in the family. And here again, I'm saying that this is a problem, and I'm saying the natural family isn't the entire solution, but it's a huge, huge part of at least starting to get back to where we need to get to.
You know, it's amazing because, you know, the family of the 50s and the early 60s,
Mm-hmm.
you know, was totally different than what it is today. Today, you know, I mean, we're all guilty of it too, you guys. So don't think that you're all like saints. You go out to dinner as a family or with friends, and what's everybody doing? I mean, this is what they're doing right here. They're checking their text messages and they're talking about stuff and they're setting up the next appointment and all that stuff. And it's no longer, folks, I mean, how many people when I grew up, you'd sit down to have dinner, and granted, I grew up in a family where I was kind of like an only child because my brother and sister were 10 and 12 years older than I was. But when we'd sit down, we said grace before we ate, you know. Now it was a canned grace, but still, there was something that went on and we functioned as a family unit with no TV, no computers, no iPads, no iPhones or any of that. And I think what you're saying, James, is it's time to get back to that.
Yeah, precisely, precisely. When I was growing up in the 60s, the phrase was, if it feels good, do it. If you look that up in an encyclopedia, you'll see my picture there. Okay. All right. And what we did is there was a definite line between, right. First of all, Mike, we are an amoral and unjust nation. Right now, we are an amoral and unjust nation. We are. Okay. When in the 60s, there was a line between right and wrong. We knew it. And we know if you stepped across that line, something might happen. So in the 60s, we stepped across the line, nothing happened, but we got back real quick. And then we stepped across it again, kind of hesitated, and then got back. And then the next time we put both feet on the other side of the line, looked around a little bit, and then we got back. And then the next time we got across the line, we just stayed there. And it was a process, and it was a test. And the things that we could get away with, and nirvana for me is when they invented the pill. I was in heaven. Okay. Are you kidding me? I can have sex and there isn't any consequences. I don't have to worry about the lady getting pregnant. Wow. So, and then the next step was, okay, I'm getting tired of seeing that line. So let's erase the line or at least blur it. So you blur it first, then you erase it. And now we're in a bizarro world where right is wrong and wrong is right. I mean, what a transition. And to me, the biggest part of getting out of that is getting back to focusing on what the Bible says, where there's no vision, the people perish. We need to have a vision of the natural family. Ronald Reagan had an executive order that said that if you do something, you need to see how it affects the family. If it has a negative impact on the family, don't do it. If the family can do it instead of the government, then let the family do it. It was a great executive order. And we need to have a law, an amendment to the Constitution, if you will. No, I'm not recommending that. I'm not recommending that, but a law that says family first and start with that biological mother and father. You use that. No fault divorce. There has to be some kind of a result if you get into a relationship and you decide to get out of it. There has to be some kind of a consequence for that.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the rule, and then you have the exceptions to the rule, and there's always exceptions to the rule, and you should know that because that's where we're living today. Is everything is an exception to the rule.
Yeah,
That's the law.
I got to tell you, I grew up in a family. My dad was a World War II veteran that fought in the Pacific. There was no messing around. One thing I always knew was that my mother and father were my mother and father. They were married and they always would be. And they
Yes,
were,
sir.
so they died,
Yep.
And
Yep.
it wasn't without battles, man. I can remember them. I remember my dad was a successful executive and he'd come home to do the bills with my mom, and my mom would yell at him about her spending, and it was like it was vicious, but they stuck it out. They stuck it together, and I think we are now at a point with marriage and in relationships in America where it's so easy to just say, well, just leave, just move, just go get your own place, out, and everything, the whole system suffers when that comes into play, don't you think?
Well, yes, we have a society now that's based on feelings. I call it an Uber society. You really don't have to. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the top need is self-actualization. And America is at that point. We have all of our needs being met by other people. So we're spoiled rotten. And our expectations level are off the chart. So first of all, when you get into marriage, because of no fault divorce, you already have 1 foot out the door. You already have 1 foot out the door. Something goes wrong, you just, you're gone. And it's in law, you usually have a recourse. And no fault marriage, you don't. I don't want to divorce you, Your Honor. Sorry. Spouse does. See ya. And by the way, you need to pay for the children. And I'm the judge. I'll tell you when, not when the children want to see you, but I'll tell you when you can see your children. I mean, this is so all bass backwards. It's just incredible where we are right now. But keep in mind, these are all opportunities. These are not problems. These are opportunities that we've created. So go ahead and fill them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with you, you know. So, you know, I want to let, here's what gets me, and I'm sure you get this, and people have heard me say this before. I'll get an email or I'll be talking to someone and they'll say, Mike, did you see what's going on over
Yeah.
here?
Oh.
Somebody ought to do something about it.
Oh.
And it's like, dude, you are somebody,
Yeah.
you
We, as conservative, we major in complaining.
know.
We're incredible. And that's what, look at Fox News. The same thing over and over and over and over again. And also the CNN or whatever the side is, they're still complaining. One side's complaining about the other side's complaining about the other side, and it's the same thing over and over and over again. Everything, right, Mike?
Yeah, you're just kind of freezing a little. It's okay. I'll just say, you know, James, before we stop the recording and go to Q&A, and I know that my wife will have some questions for you. Uh, how do people get a hold of you and how do they get involved with you?
Great question. I don't know whether I got the message out about lastcallradio.live. That's Saturday morning. You can find out what to do there. Naturalfamilystrong.com. Naturalfamilystrong.com is the website for the natural family. Go through that. One of the things you can do, we have a natural family promise. If you would please consider signing that promise. Size matters, folks. And when I talk to people and I refer them to the website, one of the places they're going to go is to the promise section, and they're going to see how many people signed that promise. There's you can contact me there. I mentioned earlier that if you see a need that you're calling, how can we help you? And what ideas do you have for the Natural Family Month? I say, I see somebody says, please come to Northern California. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
California.
But see, I don't need to come there. You're already there. Yeah. You know what to do. You know who to talk to. I'll guide you. I'll help you. We'll guide you. We'll help you. jr@naturalfamilystrong.com. There's a phone number, but you're going to have to leave your number and a short message. And that's in Ohio at 614-890-4008, 614-890-4008. But please leave a message. I'm on the phone a lot, or I'm out doing.
Well, all right, we're
And
gonna
I don't know what specifically, you're called to. I don't know what situation you're in right now. Good.
we're gonna stop the recording again.